Atlantis, the legendary city exists. It decides to launch an attack and wipe out the surface. Only one man can intervene. After saving the world from the apocalypse, the banished prince of the oceans returns. Arthur Curry, Aquaman. Films and series recap. Today, we are going to watch a 2018 movie called Aquaman. I hope you'll enjoy it. The film begins about 30 years ago on the shores of a coast. A lighthouse keeper, Tom Curry, discovers a woman stranded on the shore and comes to her aid. Dressed in strange attire and injured, she wakes up and demonstrates supernatural strength. She seems completely lost in the modern world. Tom calms the completely disoriented young woman. She is Atlanta, queen of the underwater city of Atlantis. The two fall in love. They eventually start a family. And from their union, Arthur is born, half Atlantean, half-surface dweller. One day, when Arthur is a baby, the lighthouse is attacked by men in futuristic armor. Atlanta, an Atlantean warrior, manages to repel the armed group. They are Atlantean soldiers sent by King Ormax, her husband. She knows he will stop at nothing to reclaim her, and decides to return to Atlantis to protect her people. But she hopes that Arthur will become the bridge between their two worlds. As a child on a school trip to the aquarium, Arthur, under the stress, demonstrates mental control over all underwater animals. To everyone's surprise, this manifestation of power changes his pupils from brown to yellow. 30 years later, deep in the oceans, submarine pirates led by David Hyde and his father carry out a bloody operation. Known as the Manter, they are notorious for stealing weaponry and leaving no hostages alive. Although cruel, the father and son are very close. Then, a signal on the sonar alerts them, and something collides with the submarine, forcing it to the surface. The thing enters inside. It's a man, our protagonist, Arthur. Alone and thanks to his enhanced Atlantean physiology, he defeats the heavily armed men and manages to free the hostages. He then faces the father and son Manter. He easily defeats David, and during the fight against the father, he uses a cannon that destabilizes the submarine's infrastructure and ends up being trapped by a missile. David begs Arthur to help save his father, but he refuses to save the lives of those who rejoiced in the murder of innocents. David refuses to leave his father as the water rises, but he forces him to save himself by triggering a grenade and makes him promise to avenge him. On the surface, the sailors are brought to safety, delighted to have been saved from certain death by the hero Aquaman. Back at the lighthouse, Tom reunites with his son, proud of his actions. They celebrate their reunion in a bar. Tom wishes for his son to fulfill his mother's wish to find Atlantis and unite these two isolated worlds. But he refuses to return to that homeland. He learned that the Atlanteans, after his mother's return, executed her for giving birth to him. Deep beneath the seas, unbeknownst to all, King Orm, Atlanta's son and Arthur's half-brother, seeks to create an alliance between the four remaining Atlantean kingdoms to launch an operation against the surface. He is joined by King Nereus. During the council, a submarine attacks the two kings, confirming Orm's fears. This attack dispels Nereus's doubts, and he agrees to the alliance. The king's advisor, Vulko, is present and secretly sends Mare, Nereus's daughter, to warn Arthur, the rightful heir to the throne and the only one capable of averting this war. Vulko, unbeknownst to all, has trained and taught Arthur in Atlantean culture and combat since his childhood. Their relationship soured when, after years, he finally confessed what had happened to his mother for giving birth to him, causing Arthur to reject Atlantean culture. Mara finds Arthur and asks him to follow her to Atlantis, but he refuses, holding a grudge against his mother's killers. He does not want to join the resistance and promises to attack Atlantis if they target the surface. During his car ride back with his father, they are hit by a massive tidal wave, a response to the surface's previous attack. He manages to save his father with Mara and her hydrokinesis powers. She warns Arthur that this is just a warning shot, but the attack has destroyed the majority of coastal cities around the world. Furthermore, all oceanic waste has been dumped on the surface. The media wonders about the cause of this unexplained action. A doctor, Dr. Chin, alerts the media about the Atlantean origin of these disasters, but they laugh it off, thinking the existence of the legendary city is absurd. In the North Seas, David, still mourning his father, is joined by an Atlantean vessel. The submarine from the beginning was a contract commissioned by Orm to support his alliance, and Nereus's attack was a setup. Faced with Orm's attack the night before, Arthur agrees to follow Merry to stop him in Atlantis. Using a ship, they navigate the secret passages leading to the legendary city. There, Arthur discovers the bustling metropolis that represents the kingdom of Atlantis, where high technology and maritime life blend together. Thanks to his Atlantean eyes, they see the underwater depths as if it were daylight. Mera takes him to a hiding place to meet with the king's advisor and his former mentor, Vulko. He informs them that war is imminent and that only Arthur, the firstborn, can stop it according to tradition. They want him to find the trident of Poseidon, which will automatically declare him king of the oceans despite his mixed heritage. This trident, forged thousands of years ago when Atlantis was still on the surface, but already ahead by several years, possesses extraordinary powers. It is located in the tomb of King Atlan, the first king of submerged Atlantis. Vulko gives them a relic with directions to find it, but they are then attacked. They are Atlantean soldiers in their armor, the ability to breathe out of water being reserved for the highborn. Vulko and Mera flee while Arthur distracts the soldiers. He is eventually defeated and brought before King Orm. Chained, the trident left by Atlanta before him, he faces his brother for the first time. Orm hates him because he holds him responsible for his mother's sentence. He explains to Arthur that for a century the state of the oceans has been catastrophic due to pollution and industrialization on the surface. He wants to conquer and destroy them before they permanently destroy the oceans. Arthur provokes him into combat, much to Mera and Vulko's surprise, and Orm's delight. Before the fight, Mera tries to stop Orm by reminding him of his mother's teachings, but he despises the surface dwellers. Because of her downfall, the two brothers face off in an underwater battle, trading blows and unleashing extraordinary powers. Arthur defends himself, but ends up dominated by Orm, who is more experienced in underwater combat, and shatters the last memento of his mother, her trident. On the verge of execution, Arthur is saved by Princess Mera, who sacrificed her status to save Arthur. They flee with her ship, and a chase ensues. They manage to escape, hiding in a whale's mouth, disguising their ship as destroyed. Arthur contacted the whale with his unique ability to communicate with marine life. Next stop, the Desert Kingdom. The Sahara was previously a sea and an ancient kingdom of the Atlantis Empire. They try to locate the buried temple. During the journey, Arthur gets to know Mera better, who has sacrificed her entire world for what she believes is right. Her return will mean a death sentence from her own father. Unbeknownst to them, a beacon is on them, and the Atlanteans are on their trail. Orm sends his men to join Manta, and provides him with Atlantean technology and weaponry before sending him to search for Arthur. David, with his knowledge, transforms the weapons into a combat suit with a helmet that releases a powerful laser beam through the eyes. In the desert, Arthur and Mera discover the lost palace buried in the depths beneath the sand. The kingdom has vanished, and a ghost town has existed since the sea dried up thousands of years ago. In the temple, through a mechanism, a message from King Atlan is played. He warns them that he has hidden the trident and its immense power in a hidden sea, and that only a worthy being can retrieve it. They are given a map indicating their next destination, the shores of the Mediterranean. In Sicily, Mera discovers the beauty of human culture, and feelings develop between the two. In the oceans, Orm enlists a new kingdom, that of the fishermen, a people who have evolved into fish like men. Orm kills their king, who opposed the war, and threatens his heir to join his war. Arthur and Mera manage to decode the riddle of the king, and discover the entrance to the hidden sea. But they are suddenly attacked by Manda, ready to avenge his father, and Atlantean soldiers. After a fierce battle that destroys half the city, Arthur and Mera manage to defeat their assailant and repel Manda, who falls into the water, presumed defeated for good. Later, Arthur, healed from his wounds thanks to his metabolism and Mera's powers, wakes up on a boat headed for the hidden sea. Full of doubt after their last battle and the stakes involved, Arthur is reassured by Mera about his legitimacy to the throne and the importance of his rule. Having come from two worlds, he can be the one to enable them to coexist. Meanwhile, Orm, following the failure of his operation with Mantor, has Volko arrested, knowing him to be Arthur's mentor and ally. He condemns him to execution after witnessing him destroy the surface world. On Arthur and Mera's side, they arrive at the designated point and are attacked by the creatures from the depths. Atlanteans who have regressed into beasts, as powerful as Atlanteans. Mera and Arthur have no choice but to plunge into the depths in search of the hidden sea. Crossing this ocean of monsters, they go deeper and deeper into this sea, aided only by a torch to fend off the underwater creatures. They discover at the bottom a portal creating a storm under the ocean. Upon entering, they are transported into a parallel dimension where prehistoric beasts survive. A creature saves Mera from the water, and as it reveals itself, Arthur sees his mother for the first time. Queen Atlanta is alive. After more than 30 years, she recognizes him and embraces her son. She was sacrificed by Orm's father to die in the trench, but as a fighter, she survived like them. She apologizes to Arthur for leaving and relieves him of the weight of his guilt over her death. No return through the portal is possible without the trident, but it is protected by a gigantic monster, the Carathan. Only the true king can retrieve it. Arthur goes to the lair of the Carathan at the deepest point of this world and finds the tomb of Atlan. In his arms, his trident. His presence attracts the Carathan. Arthur confronts it but fails. Strength is not the answer. On the brink of execution, Arthur uses his power to communicate with the beast. Much to its surprise, the only person who previously had this power was Atlan himself. Through telepathy, the Carathan questions Arthur about his legitimacy as king. Humble, he replies that he does not wish to be king, nor does he consider himself worthy, but to save the people he loves and the world, he is obliged. The creature lets him pass the final test, that of the trident. Upon touching it, a wave emanates, and he manages to retrieve it. Through it, he senses all the creatures of the ocean. He then reunites with his mother and Mera in the attire of the king, Aquaman's attire. Meanwhile, Orm launches an attack to conquer the fourth kingdom, that of Brine, a medieval kingdom composed of Atlanteans who have regressed into giant crabmen but possess intelligence. The battle is particularly destructive on both sides. Suddenly, a creature several hundred meters tall emerges from the ground of lava on the battlefield. It's the Carathan. On its back, Aquaman. Orm sends his battalions to attack, but they are powerless against the Titan. With the help of his powers amplified by the trident, Aquaman releases all the animals under Orm's control, sending them back to exterminate his forces. Mera reminds him not to make victims out of the Atlanteans, and to focus on stopping Orm while she tries to persuade her father to a ceasefire. This time the battle will take place on his turf. On the surface, all the warlords gather to witness the showdown between the two heirs to the throne. The battle is fierce, but on the surface, Arthur gains the upper hand and defeats Orm. He begs to be killed, but he is stopped by his mother. To everyone's great surprise, Orm embraces her, the reason for all his battles. She implores him to stop, explaining the error of his ways. He is taken to prison, but before leaving, Arthur promises him that the door remains open. Mera then declares, with the echo of the entire audience, their new king, Arthur. The film ends with Atlanta reuniting with Tom after decades, their love never having died. Arthur, their son from two worlds, now watches over Atlantis as well as the world above as Aquaman. However, somewhere in the Mediterranean, Dr. Chin, obsessed with Atlantis, has revived and re-equipped Mandar, ready for a new attack on Atlantis. Don't hesitate to subscribe, like, and recommend movies in the comments. See you soon.